Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to the sixth webinar on contemporary India of the Observatory on India of CeSPI, the Center for International Political Studies. I am Sergio Lugaresi, the coordinator of the observatory. This time, the topic of the webinar will be the potential role of artificial intelligence in India economic growth. The keynote speaker is Siddhartha Mitra, professor of economics, Jadavpur University in Kolkata, and coordinator of the Center for Advanced Studies at that university. Siddhartha studies in Melbourne, New Delhi, Bonn, the University of Maryland, has published several books, including one recent on robotization and economic development, and has published several papers on various topics: economic theory, environmental and resources economics, agriculture, labor economics, development, mental health and happiness, and peace economics. Quite important. So in his presentation, he will discuss on how can artificial intelligence positively impact the Indian economy, what kind of regulation can be envisaged to encourage this process, and if AI can drive India to reach the status of high income country by 2047, the 100th the anniversary of independence. We have this time two discussants, very interesting, very good. One is Ludovica De Santis, who is a strategy and public policy consultant at Disal Consulting, and she will discuss from the specific and peculiar point of view of somebody who has worked on creative industries and public sector digitalization. Then we have the comment by Rajat Sodhi, who is an architect, who also teach at the CEPT University in Ahmedabad, and is a founding partner of our project, a research-based design practice. The rule of the games are the same. So Siddhartha will have 20 minutes for his presentation. Then the discussant will have 10 minutes each. Please post your questions in the Q&A box you have in Zoom, so we can pick them up and feed the discussion. So please, Professor Mitra, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. And can you see the presentation? Yeah. So, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on wherever you are located. I want to thank a few people very quickly. Want to thank Sergio Lugaresi, Daniela Frigeri, Barbara Di Benedictus from the side of the organizers, and Ludovica De Santis and Rajat Sodhi for agreeing to discuss this presentation. I also want to thank Kunal De, who provided me with research assistance for this presentation. So what are we trying to basically do? We are trying to see whether artificial intelligence can help India become a high-income economy by 2047. Okay. That is the main objective of this presentation. Having problems. Oh yeah, finally. Okay, I hope this works. So what is AI? Very briefly, This is basically, when you make a machine acquire human-like tendencies, it's endowing it with AI. Okay, and that means thinking humanly, having human-like thought processes, thinking rationally, uh, that is logically, acting humanly, that is acting in a way which is indistinguishable from that of a human, or acting rationally, that is negotiating the environment in a manner similar to human beings. Okay. Now you see basically a large number of definitions here, and basically they're saying the same thing, that you're transferring, when you are transferring AI to a machine, you are making it uh, capable uh, to the extent a human is capable. But instructive is the definition adopted by Niti Aayog, which is the apex public policy think tank in India. Uh, it frames AI as the capability of machines to perform tasks requiring human intelligence, encompassing areas like machine learning, natural language processing, robotics, and vision. So it's not, it's a very mainstream kind of a definition that they have adopted. Uh, Now, basically, I can, in the beginning, I'm going to look at uh, how AI can contribute to um, your to economic growth, economic development, and there's the education sector, where personalized learning experiences can be provided to children. So, in a classroom, usually the same curriculum is provided to children, irrespective of how gifted they are. But, you know, in the case of AI, children can learn at their own pace. So the more gifted children can proceed faster, and the less gifted children can repeat lessons and proceed slower. And uh, that increases human capital formation. Also, in rural and remote areas in India, you find that quality of education is poor. There is a lot of absenteeism on the part of teachers. So actually, children in rural areas can benefit from these personalized learning experiences. There's dropout prevention. Uh, if you look at rural India, there's a lot of people dropping out, and the sort of propensity for dropping out can be gauged on the basis of test scores and socioeconomic criteria. AI can do that for you. Okay, and so these dropouts can be prevented to an extent. In agriculture, crop and soil monitoring is possible using AI. And soil might be deficient in nutrients, and this deficiency can be overcome through fertilizers. The crops might have some diseases which can be identified at an early stage by AI. Then there's precision farming, basically providing uh, the right amount of irrigation, fertilizer, and pesticides to crops. uh, AI can help in flood forecasting and pest alerts, and this can really, prevent crop losses. Also, because the majority of Indian farmers are now enabled by access to internet and smartphones, a lot of technological information can be provided to them through AI. There is also the uh, AI can enhance the efficiency of the manufacturing sector. There's machine learning based supply chain management. Machine learning is obviously an advanced form of artificial intelligence. Computer vision is more efficient than human vision in identifying defects in products. AI can also be used in R&D. Now, in regard to healthcare, There's detection of some very serious diseases that can be done through AI, and that can prevent loss of human capital. Low birth weight babies can be identified. These are potential candidates for wasting and stunting, and that again sort of provides a boost to human capital formation. Pandemics can be predicted, and again rural areas which are poorly served by doctors can access good quality doctors in urban areas. You have machine learning based transportation management systems which can uh, actually reduce travel time for households and businesses and increase the efficiency of the economy. Robots are being used in the tourism sector. There's AI-based surveillance, which can reduce crime and positively impact entrepreneurship and economic activity. In banking, uh, a personalized customer experience can be provided. Fraud can be detected, and this encourages the use of banking for savings and investment, again leading to higher economic growth. Uh, mm, Infrastructure projects in remote areas can be monitored using AI, and this can really lead to development of the hinterland. In retail, uh, customer purchases can be enhanced using personalized recommendations that enhances demand. Then we have, intelligent grids for various utilities. This can increase the efficiency of supply of water, electricity, oil, and gas. Peak demand can be managed better. Supply can be matched better to demand. There is faster job search because of AI engines. Okay, AI engines can lead to faster job search, and that can push the economy towards full employment. AI can also contribute to smarter cities and improvement of urban design. Now, India has been, now we talked about how AI can help economic growth in India, and there have been important developments in India in the health, agriculture, education, governance, and finance sector. I can't go into the details right now, but these developments match those in EU and the USA. So you have early detection of tuberculosis and cancer, which match developments in EU and USA for detection of various pathological conditions. AI is being used to predict best sowing times and weather patterns in India, uh, which matches developments in smart farming in EU and USA. In education, school children are being imparted learning in AI concepts, and in high school, there are optional school level courses. Uh, we know that there are scholarship and mobility programs in EU for provision of high quality digital education. And in governance of finance, an important uh, development which has taken place in India is that judicial documents are being translated from English into various regional languages. Okay, this actually uh, enhances or gives a boost to economic activity because people know what the law is. There is uh, fraud detection and identification verification by fintech firms. Okay, I've got some of the developments in EU. So the idea that I put before you is that in India, a lot of developments are taking place which kind of match those which are taking place in the EU and USA. Okay. Now, even in regard to the policy sphere, there are a lot of developments taking place in India. There's the task force on AI constituted by Ministry of Commerce and Industry in 2017. The idea is to leverage AI for economic benefits. All the major sectors are covered by this task force, and they're planning to use the rich biometric and demographic data generated by the unique identification system, proposing a creation of a digital data marketplace where data can be bought and sold, yet at the same time the property rights of those who are generating data are sought to be protected. And then there's also the creation of a national artificial intelligence mission, a centralized nodal agency for facilitating research and collaboration and catalyzing AI startups. I can't go into further details. Okay, now to just elaborate on a little bit more on the various policy initiatives, there's a policy group set up by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and they're talking about data using emerging technologies for data storage and data analytics. There's a national strategy for artificial intelligence, which has been announced by Niti Aayog, India's apex public policy think tank. Okay, and it says the three pillars of this strategy are opportunity, that is generation of economic benefits, addressing social inequalities and development goals, and the third pillar is to make India a global innovation lab for scalable AI solutions for developing countries. So India will be a kind of a forerunner for providing guidance to developing countries. Now this opportunity or leveraging of economic benefits through AI is sought to be attained through automation of complex tasks, through enhancement of factor productivity, and through catalysis of innovation. Now, a little bit about AI regulation, India, EU, and US. Okay. Why do we need regulation? For example, if you have cyber crime that's going to deter use of AI and is going to actually discourage economic activity, especially through the web, you need to regulate OTT platforms in order to protect the film industry and TV channels. You need to regulate social media in a way, and you also need to ensure the property rights of individuals over the data they create. Now, India has been doing all this through various regulations. Now, here I would say that European regulation has also done all of these things, and it has got two additional components which India doesn't have. One is the promotion of fair competition in the EU digital markets, and an act which provides compensation to those harmed by AI. Okay. In USA, we have acts which require the auditing of AI systems for bias, fairness, and privacy, which regulate the development of high-risk based AI systems. But in the US, we are going backwards a little bit, because by President Trump's order, the US will be deregulating AI because they want to maintain a leadership in AI. So the last section, I was a bit scared because, we're trying to pack a lot into these 20 minutes. So, and that is whether, AI can take India to high income status. And as you can see, high income status is still a long ways off. $2,540 in 2023. That's India's per capita income. Okay. And the cutoff for being a high income economy was 14,005. Okay. Which means India's per capita income needs to grow by 7.37% between 2023 and 47. And if we look at recent population growth, it would be the expected population growth could be the 0.63%, which is the gap between 8% and 7.3%. So really, we are looking at 8% rate of growth of per capita income, where at present it's around 6.5%. So we need to cover these 1.5 percentage points on the basis of AI. That's so. Can we do that? If you look at Accenture's model, it says that AI could raise India's annual GDP growth rate by 1.3 percentage points, and it's got these sector-wise sources. Okay, we're talking about AI-powered systems in manufacturing, AI-based innovations in ordering and distribution in retail. Accenture also points to 88% of entrepreneurs actually, embracing AI. So, in a sense, Accenture does say that, these 1.5 percentage points can be added to the current rate of growth of GDP. And if you look at ICRIER, the ICRIER model, it's sort of more complicated, but more explicit to the readers. In the ICRIER model, AI intensity, the ratio of software investment to sales, is related to total factor productivity growth. Okay. And then total factor productivity growth is then related to your rate of growth of value added. And then it says that a unit increase in AI intensity, which I've just defined, that could contribute around 2.5% of India's GDP in the immediate term. Okay, now you don't expect the ratio of software investment to sales to increase in every year. Okay, rather you would expect a one-time increase in a one-time software investment, and then the firms would stall. Okay, now, however, we can see that if there is software investment, then the ratio of software capital to GDP would increase, and that could provide that 1.5% jump that we need every year. So it's possible, on the basis of what has been said in the ICRIER model, to have that kind of a jump that we are talking about. Okay, so is this picture all rosy? It's not all rosy. Okay, and the thing is that neither the Accenture model nor the ICRIER model have talked about the employment, the threats to unemployment caused by AI. And as you can see on these slides, that there are a large number of sources which hint at major job loss in India. And what will that do? Okay, that will lead to a reduction in demand. Firms will cut back on that production. That will lead to a further retrenchment of workers. And what that will do is hurt economic growth a lot because of the recessionary spiral caused by job loss. Okay, so here I'm saying that, on the supply side, everything looks good. India is making rapid strides. India is regulating, but, nobody is looking at this employment loss as something which could detract from economic growth. This is where I leave you. I've just finished my quota of time. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Siddhartha. Very, very interesting to the points. You covered all the important issues, the potentialities, the policies, but also the uncertainties, and in particularly the impact in the short term and in the long term on jobs and employment. So we now have the possibility to listen to the comments of to our excellent discussants, and which will bring their experience in the field in certain sectors. The first one is Ludovica De Santis, who has worked at the European Central Bank and the Bank of Italy before becoming a strategy and public policy consultant at Disal Consulting. As consultant, she has worked with several interesting institutions for this issue and for India, the Asian Development Bank, Netflix, the World Economic Forum, the Observer Research Foundation in India, the Chinese government, and the UN World Tourism Organization. Particularly interesting the research she has carried out with for Netflix and ADB, the Asian Development Bank, on the impact of artificial intelligence in creative industry. So we are eager to listen from Ludovica what she can bring to us. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you also to Daniele and CeSPI for the invitation, and to Professor Mitra for the interesting insights. I think what was really great of the presentation is that it gave us all a really broad and comprehensive view of this technology's impact on the country, covering all main sectors and issues that are key to India's development. On my side, the point I would like to stress is that, like it or not, transformation is happening, and is happening fast. And it will indeed affect all sectors of the Indian economy. So it's really crucial to ensure it happens in an inclusive way, which means leaving no one behind. To do so, I think businesses, policymakers, all key stakeholders should focus on three things: access, literacy, and trust. Okay. When it comes to access, let me give you a few numbers. So India has registered a staggering growth in internet penetration in the past 10 years, around 340% between 2013 and 2023. 4G is available even in the most remote areas of the country. But despite the progress, more than half of the Indian population is still offline. So today here we're talking about AI, and rightly so, but some people in India are still not able to go on the internet. So these numbers really tell us that accessibility should be a priority for the country in order to level the playing field. Moving to my second point, literacy. Professor Mitra already discussed the potential impact of AI on education, but I would like to add something on top of what he said, because I really think education is the starting point of everything. I'm of the opinion that we need to completely rethink education systems, not just the what, so what we teach, but also how and when, how we learn, when we learn. Of course, we need to start teaching courses on AI, and we already see this happening in many schools, universities around the world and in India, but this is not sufficient. We need to also rethink how we teach. So when I was in university, when we all were studying, one of the main learning approaches, for example, was writing essays. Today, with generative AI, students just need one prompt, and here appears the essay. So we really need to ask ourselves, what skills do we need to thrive in an AI-based world? And what is the way to build them and train them in a world where AI is part of how we learn? And finally, I think the most important part is rethinking the when. So we're used to seeing education as a specific moment in time, no? It happens when we're young, before we start working, but with technology changing so fast, our skills will become outdated in a matter of 1-2 years, maybe even less in the future. So the only way I see to keep afloat, to stay ahead of the curve, is to never stop learning. So to shift from education to lifelong learning. So this is a radical change, first of all, in mentality, and it means creating a system that accompanies people throughout the whole professional life. Building a system that supports lifelong learning is a recommendation that we specifically included in the report that Sergio mentioned, that we just published with the Asian Development Bank and Netflix. It was a recommendation tailored to digital creative industries that were the target of the study. But I think this principle applies to all sectors, not just the one that work directly with AI, because AI impact will encompass probably all sectors of our economy. Finally, last point, third item, in my opinion, for an inclusive transformation is trust. So right now, statistics say that 1 in 4 people fear losing a job to AI. This fear, the fear that machines might take our jobs, is not new. The economist Keynes was already writing about it in the 1930s. But generative AI marks a turning point. So for the first time, it's not just low-value jobs that are at risk or jobs that could be automatized, but also intellectual ones. So, for example, the CEO of Anthropic, the company that developed Claude, said that AI could cut around 50% of white-collar entry-level positions in 5 years. And I think we also saw it in Professor Mitra's presentation. According to the International Labour Organization, 70% of jobs in India are at risk, no? So it is not a big surprise that a slice of population looks at this technology with fear. And I think governments need to make an effort to bridge the trust gap that is now blocking people from engaging with this technology. So this means education, and we already talked about it before, but also increasing communication and awareness campaigns on positive use cases. As they always say, you won't lose a job to AI, but to the person that knows how to use AI. So the key here is leaving fear behind, really engage with this technology and get ready with a really open mind. That's actually it from my side. I'm happy to delve deeper into any of these points during question time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ludovica. Yes, very important points, access, literacy, trust. We'll pick up this in the discussion. Now, let's move to Rajat Sodhi. He has worked on the biometrics and computational design, and is working at the frontier of implementation of artificial intelligence in design and production in the field of architecture. So he's really touching with his hands the challenges, seeing with his eyes the challenges to the traditional architect and design production. So Rajat, please, we are all very interested to listen from you. And please, sorry, Twitter, I always forget to remind everybody to post questions in the QA. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio, for having me. This talk has been really, really interesting. Thank you, Professor Mitra. And Ludovica, I think many of your observations are very much in lines with what I think we are seeing as architects in the field already. So I will kind of make my comments at three levels, I think, because I'm coming from an architecture background. The first level I would, kind of talk about is, AI in design. And I think at the level of design, AI is reshaping how we develop architectural design, develop urban design, and it's giving us the possibility to look at many variations, many ideas of how to solve problems, and kind of start to compare them and see, which one could be most effective at developing the right solution for a community or, for a project. As a computational designer, I think there is one thing that I would like to kind of add, which is that most times when we speak of AI, we are thinking of them as large language models or small language models, but AI can be much more than just language models. For us, we look at AI as a way of pattern recognition, as a way of looking at a lot of data and identifying, how patterns repeat, what those patterns are. And very often when we are training, an AI system, we have to be very mindful about what kind of data we train the AI system in, because the bias in the design or, the bias in our thinking, all of those things tend to get translated into the model without, sometimes us being aware. Which means, in a country like India, which is very diverse, culturally, it changes every 100 kilometers. It is difficult to apply AI solutions, which are trained on data from the past, to models that might not either have previous data or to situations where sometimes culturally sensitive or socially sensitive, design strategies might need to be adopted. Also, I think while the government of India likes to, develop the smart city initiative, it is my kind of my observation that I think very often these are not participatory models. These are, again, control-based models. So in a way, AI enables the government to establish more control in urban areas rather than actually creating urban models through participation with the citizens. So I think in this space, I really feel that AI is at the moment very underdeveloped, and it's not able to sort of, work with the kind of sensitivity required at the level of urban design to deliver what needs to be delivered for a developing country like India. I think already at the current rate of urbanization, we have to create 35 Bombays, that level of construction in the next 15 years. And if the design of all those buildings and the design of all those urban areas is influenced by AI, then I don't think it will solve the problems of our cities. It will only multiply the problems of our cities. Because if it is trained on data that is, already having problems, then the solutions that it creates also embody those problems. AI doesn't solve the problems. It recognizes a pattern and it gives us an answer. So I think at the level of design, I feel that, while AI can very easily take over routine design tasks, I don't think it yet delivers at the level of people-sensitive design or people-sensitive cities. My second observation is in regard to the construction sector. India relies a lot on low-wage workers to construct buildings and, the infrastructures that we are making. And even though we might be able to get maybe robots, perhaps, to speed up these constructions, or AI, influenced fabrication methods, I think that there is a large population of about, I think, 20 to 30 million construction workers in India. And I think, they can, it really puts their jobs and their livelihoods at risks. These are not workers who have previous education necessarily or access to technology, as, Ludovico pointed out. These are, everyday people, wage earners, who I don't think will be able to necessarily adopt or benefit from the AI revolution, that we see coming in the years. The third thing I think I have an observation on is, I think what Ludovica also mentioned was AI in academia. I think already, as a professor myself, at university, we are noticing that a lot of students, they're already submitting their work and plagiarizing from AI. And, we've already had incidents this term where we've had to really confront the students, and then they are getting in all sorts of issues because, they're stressed, they can't, or they have trouble with their performance, they're leaving things last minute. And the thing, by typing a prompt in, one of these chat GPTs or Meta or whatever, that they can produce academic work from it. And I think this is really a concern, because whilst it might be able to help individualize and customize education for young children in rural areas, etc., I think at the higher level education, I think a lot of students are using AI to sort of shortcut getting educated themselves. So I think that definitely is, one of the concerns. Also, I feel that, I think, with AI, it's somehow taking over the reasoning and logical thinking ability of the students. I think that is my larger concern, that students now they feel lazy trying to reason. I'm not speaking for all students, but I'm speaking for, the ones that I'm interacting with, either in Delhi or sometimes in the university in Cincinnati in America. I think students' reliance on AI and the misuse of AI to quickly generate work, the speed that AI gives them, it is affecting the quality of academic work and the quality of education that, they are able to get. I think another concern that I have with the growth of AI is the energy and resource consumption. And, for a country like ours, like it's already, the global data centers, their energy usage by 2030 will be more than what India uses as a country in terms of energy. So how do we support really data centers and giving them energy and denying people who don't have access to energy in a country like India, for making, we're prioritizing AI over humans? And I think this is really a concern which I don't know how the, at the policy level, how the government wishes to address it, or how, it's going to get solved. So I think the resources and energy that's kind of going into AI, I think it is also that's also the money that doesn't go into development in a way. And I think the last point that I'd like to make is about AI's promise of scalability over customization. I think AI might be able to give us standardized processes and modular housing and smart city frameworks to deal with the, challenges we have in India. But I don't think it yet delivers on the kind of customizations we require for our climate, for our culture, for our history. And also, I think design is bespoke. So I think it takes over that special quality of design by making everything kind of look the same. So I think, yes, I think while, AI is promising globally, I think I still will have some reservations on how it might be able to produce the kind of growth that, we all wish we can achieve with it. So I think those would be my notes and observations.
Thank you, Rajat. Very interesting point. So you raised the issue that the latest Nobel Prize in Economics always praised the issue of the how the new technologies are implementing and how inclusive. So it depends how these technologies are implemented. the issue of the data, the impact on low wage and low skilled workers, the impact on human intelligence, and I would say also creativity, the issue of energy and resource that has been raised also in the question and answer, and the issue of customization to certain, very, very important. So now I think we are at some time, 15 minutes for discussion. We have already 2 questions, and I try to summarize them. Basically, there are 3 questions, 3 sets of questions. One regards the hypothesis of sustained economic growth for India to reach the high income status, as we have seen in the experience of other countries that economic growth tend to slow down with the increase of per capita income and the increasing returns on new technologies. So if this is, also bring some doubts, some uncertainty on the idea that also with the help of artificial intelligence, India can reach the high income status by 2047. The second issue is the issues of disparities that has been mentioned, but the disparity in 2 sense. One, how the implementation of artificial intelligence can help to overcome these existing disparities in India, income, but regional, castes, and so on. But also what kind of new disparities artificial intelligence can bring. And then the issue that already Rajat mentioned of the high energy consumption that is needed to develop AI and to make it spread. Then we have another question, but we can come to that later. So I think we can start with Siddhartha. You can also, of course, all of you refer also to the comments of the others. Please, Siddhartha.
Yeah, can I answer? Can I go ahead?
As you like, as the question you like. Yes.
Yeah, whatever, in whatever order, I'm, this energy intensity of AI, it's already trying to do that, then possibly this can be overcome to an extent. Now, I think Ludovica made a very important point regarding, the fact that half the population doesn't have access to to internet and all that even now. And, that's not a surprise to me because, 15 to 20% of the population is still living in extreme poverty. Okay. And so I would say that, if you take World Bank's the poverty line that corresponds to moderate poverty, it would be around 50% of the population is still in moderate poverty. So, this is, and in a sense, the government is not doing a very good job in sort of erasing inequalities. So if it seems like AI will succeed, to make something which is very cliched, will make the rich richer without making the poor any better off. So this is what will happen. So the government needs to do something because, if you look at the recent budgets and all that, social welfare spending has not really gone up in India. So I think these are my responses to some of the questions which have been raised. I might come back later with more.
Okay, Thank you, Siddhartha. Ludovica, please. Any of the question or comments made by you need to unmute, sorry.
Sorry, sorry about that. So I was saying that I agree with Professor Mitra, and that's also why I talked a lot about accessibility, education, and trust. There is a high risk that AI may increase inequality, both among countries and within countries. Richer countries are better equipped to harness its benefit because they have higher technological readiness, while poorer countries may be, on one side, have lower technological readiness. On the other, they might be less prepared to handle the disruptions that come ahead. So it's really important to invest, as I said, in accessibility, in education, to level the playing field. Otherwise, the risk is that countries evolve at different speeds, and also within countries there are different speeds. So like workers that are already much more educated will have higher possibility of learning how to use this technology and become even more competitive on the job market, while workers without, maybe lower skilled workers, will just be lost behind. On the other side, this technology is also very powerful. And as we see, we've seen so many different kinds of applications, even in education. Siddhartha mentioned the fact that it could help achieve personalized learning experiences and help even in like school dropout. So there's a lot of potential to use this technology to address inequality, but it needs to be, I think, a priority at government level, because if we forget about inclusion, then development will not happen in a fair and equitable way. I think that's it from my side.
Ludovica. Rajat?
Yes, I think I would like to be a little bit provocative also now that we are in the Q&A. And I think my provocation would be that
No provocation allowed in Zoom. No.
Building suspense.
hello.
Yeah,
Sorry.
please
Am
repeat.
I back?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I said I'm going to be a little provocative now because we are in the Q&A. And I think I'll share an example from our own studio. Now, we are, as a design studio, we hire architects and designers to work in the studio. And usually some of these designers have a few years of work experience, maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe 7. Sometimes they're fresh out of college. And I can already tell you that between 2020 and 2025, I would say 3/4 of my office has lost their job to AI. Now, these are not people who are poor or have economic stress. These are not people who haven't gotten college. Some of them have a master's degree. So they are not low wage, low skilled people. However, their ability to work with AI at the level of, say, maybe programming or data or training them with data, they don't have that skill set. And I don't think the colleges in India are concerned right now about educating people for future jobs where they will be able to work with AI. So I think for me, the bigger problem that is already here is that if I only require 1/4 of my highly skilled workforce to be able to work in the office, then the low skilled jobs and all the other things we can blame on the government. but the job loss of the higher skilled people, the people who are usually using their mind and intelligence to solve problems, it's them losing their job that is concerned. And these are people who are already in their, late 20s, early 30s. India as a country, as you know, 1.5 billion people, 50% of us are, still 30 years or under. So I think for the 750 million people that are 30 or under, I am concerned about their education and their development, because I don't think that they're going to enter jobs now, in the next years and be able to last very long, because of the rate at which AI is evolving and getting embedded into, companies and company structures. So I think that there is a big danger of the AI backfiring, not just for the low skilled workers, but also for the high skilled workers.
Thank you, Rajat. Let's go back to Siddhartha, if he has any comments on what Ludovica and Rajat said, but also, if I may, Siddhartha, pick again two questions that have been posted. One regards is it sustainable, a growth rate of 7% in the next 20, more than 20 years in India, given the experience of other countries? And what do you think would be the impact of AI on existing disparities, and also in creating new disparities, maybe? Also given, as Subhash mentioned in his questions, given the linguistic heterogeneity of the country. I don't know if you have any idea, any suggestion. Please.
Yeah, I'd like to come in on this. There's a bit of a sort of, all these entrepreneurs, they want to go in for AI, and they feel that it's going to make the production process more efficient and all that kind of thing. Now, so, Sergio, what was that? Can you hear me? Yeah. So, in a sense, there is a race really to adopt AI and to become more profitable. Okay. And what Rajat talked about, no sort of emphasis is given on employment and the large number of jobs that will be lost. Okay. And if jobs are lost, then, demand will go down. And these very entrepreneurs who wanted to race ahead of each other using AI, they are also going to lose. And nobody seems to have sort of figured that out yet. And it's quite an obvious thing. So what we need to do in order to sort of tame AI and sort of make it a friend rather than a foe is to have some sort of a multilateral deal on how to use AI, not just at the national level, but at the international level. And that's not been forthcoming. You have Trump talking about, America becoming the global AI leader. Okay, every country wants to be I'm sure China also wants to be the global AI leader. But ultimately, everybody is going to lose out because of this. Uh, that's what I think. Now, there is a silver lining though, and Bill Gates has talked a little bit about this, and there is even though we will lose our jobs to AI in the conventional sectors, many of the other sectors are kind of understaffed. For example, geriatric care, culture, entertainment, hospitality, where really a machine cannot substitute a human. These sectors need to be given a push, and they can actually make up for the lost jobs in the conventional sectors. So, there are problems, there not just in India, but all over the world. But there are sectors which are trying to be filled with more employees, where there is a demand which has not been catered to as of now.
Thank you, Siddhartha. So we have reached our time, but there is room for just the last sentence, the most important thing you want to say. Ludovica, please.
Okay, so I take this opportunity just to stress one last point that hasn't been covered too much, that I think it's super important, which regards the role of regulation. In my experience, like there's been a lot of talks on where to draw the line, no? As if in regulation, too much regulation could slow down innovation, but too little regulation could maybe, what Rajat was saying, not help on the ethical development of AI. In my experience, what I've seen is that regardless of the level of regulation, the important thing is that regulation is clear, so that countries take a stance and provide really clear guidelines to companies and businesses on how to comply, because this is where like companies lose a lot of time and money, just understanding how to comply with the rules of the game. So I would say my last point is clear rules of the games could help this development.
Thank you so much, Ludovica. Very, very interesting. Rajat, your last pill of wisdom.
Well, well, it's my hope. I think right now I see AI being controlled by a handful of people. There are few private individuals who are controlling everything in the AI space. And I think that unless, there is a democratization of the AI technology, I think it can only be used for private profit. I don't think it's going to be used for public good. So I think the right policies or the right frameworks need to, they need to be developed so that we can all participate from the promises that, AI can deliver on, but also, not completely give up the control to a few private individuals.
Thank you, Rajat. Thank you. So, Siddhartha, what are you taking away from this discussion? What is your main point?
I've already said, let me just, it's, I will say that, India achieving high income status by 2047, riding on the back of AI, is possible, but not probable. Okay. And that's what we had a nice give and take of opinions and all that. It's possible, but not probable. Yeah, I would say more like 2055 or something like that.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. I thank you so much, Professor Mitra, Ludovica De Santis, Rajat Sodhi, for joining and enriching our discussion. Thank you, Daniele, for being the director of this event. And thank you, everybody, for participating, particularly to the ones that posted questions. And see you next time. In the meanwhile, enjoy holidays if you can. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Sergio. Bye.